Yep, we almost got pretty dangerous just before we got to the show. But welcome to another episode of Comic Book Spectrum here. Hey, Cliff, I'm going to be reviewing a book today, but I got a little bit of a rant to start it off with when we get to my part.
Okay.
Wait,
Well,
hold on. There's something
I
in
got
my hair.
I got KOs to go through for you too. So I'll be ranting as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Something was in my hair.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Your
But
head scratcher.
to start to start things off on a lighter note, I just
Mhm.
had to share this because it just happened. We like to torture the little kids by making them listen to our music, because we're old. And
Sorry.
the wife decided for some reason Grayson hates the song "Baby Got Back," and and
Baby
so
got back.
we turned it on the we got the little Amazon Echo thing,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't realize it, but our little Amazon Echo is the whitest one that's ever been made. Because when we told her, play "Baby Got Back," she goes, "Playing Baby Got Back by Sir Mix a lot." So
AI does that. When
so his
I can
name now is first name Sir Mix, last name a lot.
no a lot.
A
Yes,
lot.
a
A
lot.
lot.
So, and it broke my composure while I was trying to eat dinner, and I was like, this is too much.
AI does not understand speaking patterns. And you can always tell an AI video because even if they have that lovely little British accent, male or female, there's always something that, and a lot of them you can read the captions as they're
Mhm.
talking. There's always something they trip over, and it's like,
Yeah, like
okay.
I listen to some of those like the creepy pastas and stuff on YouTube when I'm gaming, just to have some background noise.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I know that most of them are AI generated, and it's like, okay, it's a time killer, whatever. But when all of a sudden "read" becomes three syllables, it's like, come on now.
It's read, not read.
Yeah,
Rahaid. Rahaid.
yeah.
It's
I'm like,
it's
wow.
hilarious that they will, they'll take a name like Calhoun,
Hmm.
like Rory Calhoun, and they'll go Rory Calhoun, and it's like, oh my god, it's like, dude, and I'm sitting here seeing this, and I'm like, whoever is editing this, are you not paying attention?
No, they're not.
You're not listening to how it's speaking. And the minute I hear that, it's because sometimes it's like, okay, maybe that could be a human being. Then there's that one word they trip over. It's like, okay, thank you, bye, because it's exhausting, because the first thing is, okay, you can't even use a real human to read this,
Hmm.
which means you probably didn't even use a real human, because they now have in my YouTube feed, because they figured out I'm a writer. I get all these commercials for how, oh, I just tell the software the subject matter that I want to do and the style, and then it spits out, I just did a $49 book in 30 minutes. It's like, uh-huh, right. And how many of those $49 books about 2 or 3 days after people bought them and actually start, it's like the only way those books don't get brought back to the store is if the person didn't start, because some people will buy a book and 6 months later they'll pick it up,
Hmm.
you know, and some of us, we buy a book and we start reading it, and it's like, there's no way I'd pay that much money for a book. And it's like, oh, and then have to go back to the bookstore and go, this is crap, right? And then have to explain to them, show them physically why this book is crap.
Hmm.
It's like, can we talk editing? You know, not even subject matter. You know, it's I am flummoxed by how many of these commercials end up in my feed now. I just tell it the subject matter and it'll print me out a New York Times bestseller. And it's like, really?
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
That's tremendous.
Like,
I get a trip out of if my wife looks up something on her phone, I like automatically will get ads for whatever she looked up on my Facebook feed.
oh, that's happening. It's like I have a Wayfair account because it's like if I ever buy a house, this is how I'm gonna furnish it thing. And Paragold is like, yeah, if I can buy anything I want, this is where I shop. But for some reason, Wayfair now pops up in my Facebook feed. And a lot of stuff are now, and what gets me is the algorithm has also realized I own my company is an LLC. So I get all these stupid commercials of, hey, I went to this because I don't want to have to worry about all that silly legal stuff. So I went to this company and got my LLC. And it's like, yeah, go to a court when that company gets busted for something that they didn't file just right, or they filed you under something that you don't really qualify for. And when you get up in front of the judge, I want to see that. Well, I don't worry about that silly. Who has time to worry about that silly legal stuff? I just have to do it. Because when you read the fine print, if something goes wrong, they're not going to go with you to the IRS or a court of law or something to explain how they screwed it up. So if something gets screwed up in your LLC, because it's a lot of companies pushing LLCs these days, LegalZoom does a lot of them. And I'm like, yeah, it's AI pretending to be lawyers. And you're not fact checking, and it's not like you can't go to your local small business development center, your SBDC or your WSBDC, if you're a woman and you only want to deal with someone dealing with women's business issues. Those places, it's not that hard. I know where you live.
Well, no, but I'm just saying, bar association. That's how I got my information and went from not doing an LLC to a subchapter S because I went and asked the right questions.
For me, the LLC was the better choice. So it's like, okay, I can do this. I can manage this. But the fact is no matter how you do it, don't let LegalZoom do that stuff for you. Go back it up, because believe me, they're going to make a mistake. And if someone at the IRS or you get sued or something, they're not H&R Block. They're not, and H&R Block doesn't even do that in their advertising. H&R Block used to say, if you got called in by the IRS, they would go with you. They don't do that no more. So
no, that's extra money for that type of service, because nobody wants to give these companies power of attorney anymore.
Yeah. And it's like, and it's like, with the other thing is the silly new, I forgot what they're called, but it's like, you shouldn't have your home address as your business address. Let us give you an address, and then you can call us to see what's in your mailbox. And I'm like, the whole point of having a PO box or something is that I don't want people going through my mail. So if I call you and ask you, hey, what's in the mail? Hi, would you like us to open it? No. I don't even want you to know what's in my mailbox, let alone open, because they have services now. They're saying, oh, we can open your mail. And it's like, no, you can't open my mail. What if it's my bank statement? No. Hi, who am I talking to today?
That looks like the whole gang there.
Okay, because I was like, is that Lils or Beanie?
No, I think that's either Leia or Fran.
Okay. But yeah, that's my rant.
Like
rant.
They would know I buy comics.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
know.
but yes, there's gonna be we gotta be kind of ranty today because we got KO on deck, and then we got some other nice surprises here.
I already
And
told you about how I feel about that window, that doll.
we're gonna talk about that. That's part of the rant because every time I come back and revisit this character, and then I go back to the commercials for it, I get so pissed off. I get
Okay.
so angry. Don't read my mail. It's highly illegal. Yep.
But there are now these mailbox places where they are like you sign a contract that gives that upon your request gives them the right to open to know what's in your mailbox and read it. And it's like, no, not
They pay
happening.
the bills if they read those.
It's like, no, no, you don't get to read my mail. You don't get to know what's coming. You don't get to mess with my banking stuff because, when I get angry, I come stomp to your door. And unless you're armed, you ain't coming out of this safely.
That's just the one thing that need to be have happen here. They go and read Elaine's mail, and then Elaine be like, "Okay, I got you faded. I'm going to order me some stabbies." It'd be like, "Okay, I'm about to go up here this day. Oh, my stabby would be there. I come here. I come. It's like she comes up nice and gentle and everything. Oh, I care to come and open up my mailbox. Okay, open up the mailbox. They hand you your package, everything. You open up that package. Now, who is the motherfucker that opened my mail?
It's like, hey, you know what? You want to see me imitate Wolverine? Stabby, 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 stabby. Ah! And then the call comes from my oldest Joe. Can you drive me down to the jail? My mama killed a bunch of folks.
$28 fudge.
Fudge.
But
Fudge.
you're okay.
Hey,
She's still
come on
talking
now.
about C2E2. She's still talking about the C2E2 prices. Not Stabbity Bunny, Stabbity Laney.
I would like to get myself at least one slice of fudge. I may have to buy two though, because I don't know if I can buy a single slice of fudge and walk in this house. They have fudgeometers. They can sense that fudge. So I walk in this house.
But the force is stronger with you. You'll be like, there is no fudge.
No, you don't understand.
This is butterscotch.
You don't have to buy. Well, I might do that, but Courtney is still there. So I cannot tell her she cannot have any fudge. So I will have to at least share half that fudge with her so she doesn't come home and, tell on me.
You just say, "Hey, what's that over there?" And then you eat it.
Yeah, right. You want to get me dead.
I mean, here in this household, we have hand signals. Like Micah walks by and gives me the eye, and I put my hand back, and she drops the cookie off.
Okay. That's
Or
how
we go in the laundry room and eat it real quick.
Wow. See, I don't have a laundry room. I have to go to the laundromat. Besides, we have already done things like we have a 2-liter generic cola that we're bringing. And we have already said you will die if you touch this. And then we also have 3 bottles of water that we're also bringing. And we have said, if you die, if you touch this, you will die. So we've already given them, you will die if you touch this warnings. And in return for that, when I come in, they look at me like, did you bring anything? Is there some? Do you have something? Is there fudginess? And this one, he's psychic. He can sense sense fudge.
He's like,
Because
there's a disturbance in
there's
coca.
a disturbance in the force. You know?
There's a disturbance in coca.
Oh my goodness. So much. You can't be angry and rant for this, Joe. This is just X lash. Oh no. I know people who've done that to their children. I promised myself I would never be that parent. And I have to keep that promise.
I have known people who made hot chocolate using chocolate extract and got people real good.
I've never wanted to be, that was how some women used to let their husbands or their men know that it was time for them to be finding somewhere else to sleep. But there was always that husband who took the chocolate to his workplace and passed it out to friends. So well, I guess did I
See, now you give me ideas. That's not good. Because now up there, it's like, you know what? I might tell one of my female friends, like, this is how you do it. This is how you really get back at them.
Oh god!
Instead of doing a cocoa trick, you do it as icing. You make a nice chocolate cake. And the icing is exactly that. And to make it worse, be like, here's a cake for your whole entire office.
Oh no! And you make it look like that fondant icing.
Mm-hmm.
Because X-Lax wants to, when it hardens, it wants to harden back hard. So you have to make it look, you have to put a little fudge in it and then make it look like that fondant icing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I baked you a special cake. Speaking of which, I am making peach cobbler for C2E.
Don't mention that.
I am making a cobbler. I'm making it Thursday morning, so it's cool in time. And I'm going to slice it into portions. Joe, I think you have 2 pieces. I have to give 2 to Afua because she asked if I would. And then I want to give a piece to George Gant that he can eat there because, he walks in the door with that. His children will devour him. So unless they've all grown up and they're not little toddlers who murder people anymore.
See, that's what makes me think, the whole thing about his cartoon strip is actually real. Beware a toddler.
Yes. I can't hear Cliff. Can you hear Cliff?
Yes.
Okay.
Wait. I think he something his mic.
I can't hear him.
It's low.
Okay, I can't hear it. It looks like there's something that's not plugged in the back. There's a little pokey thingy.
Nope. She called it. Yep, everybody's saying we don't hear you.
So it's not just me. Because I thought maybe I was losing something and maybe my headphones were wonking out on me again. I will
now he's muted. He got himself muted.
Okay, you're muted now. Can I unmute him? Oh no, he can unmute himself. Okay. There you go.
Yep.
You're kind of in and out, but you're at least you're somewhat coming back.
Interesting.
Yes, very interesting. I don't know what happened there. No, you're not. Just stop telling stories. No, you're not.
Now, see what you need to do for C2E2, because I've been to enough cons and seen these people there.
Okay.
You need to carry 2 trays of fudge. One for the people who actually buy crap, and then the other one that has the X-Lax in it for those people who just sit there and talk to you for 20 minutes and then walk off.
No, because if they can trace back their diarrhea to having spoken with you and you gave them something and they got sick, you can go to jail.
Mm-hmm.
No,
So
just all of a sudden forget English.
no.
Doesn't work. Doesn't work that
It
way.
doesn't work that way. And
And
I'm
it's
at his age.
contractual.
Yeah, it's
It's
contractual.
contractual. That would not work. That would get me in trouble.
Yeah, so
Big trouble.
I don't do that.
Well, see, I don't see the problem. My idea is good, and I don't get in trouble for it. So,
Well, I have no desire to
For
get my
smaller
client.
conventions, I think it might fly because smaller
Mm-hmm.
conventions don't have the pages upon pages of contractual language applied to it, like these major ones like C2E2 and San Diego, New York, Emerald City. I forgot what the one is in Toronto. You know, all of those have these long, extensive contracts
Oh my
about what
goodness.
you
Yeah,
can, what you
Emerald
can't do.
City's
Because
Emerald City's still a thing.
Parallax had a good suggestion that I can't do because of the simple fact, contractual wise, I can't do it without filling out all these extra forms here. And that is, how come you can't sell Shasta there?
Yeah.
While everybody else is paying like $6 to $7 for a can of pop, you could get a couple of cases of Shasta and sell them for 50 cents and make a killing. That's like, technically I could, but I have to go through a different process for that to work that way.
The only reason I can do the pose for candy thing is the candy is wrapped
Mm-hmm.
and it's not been opened. And therefore it's not a problem. And of course, with kids, I always make sure to check with parents before I give them any candy. And if you're watching this and you're coming to us and we're at booth 829, I will not be taking pictures of kids under, say, 17, well, 18. I will not be taking pictures of kids 17 and under, period. That's just my decision. They can have candy. We just won't be taking pictures of them.
Yep, you can't. I'm about to say, nope, you can't be all motherly and everything. Be like, oh, it's so cute. Let me take a picture. It's like, okay, do it at your own risk.
But we will have candy. It's sealed. We have lollipops and we have our little fruity things that we normally give out. Should I put some candy on your side of the booth in case you want to give people candy as a thank you?
I normally help with the candy. Remember, I used to bring containers and stuff with candy.
That's right.
Anyway.
You bring containers for me. This year, as gift for purchase, we have 2 different types of stickers, and I folded a crap ton of paper cranes.
Now you got me thinking about this other thing now because I'm still on where are my books.
Joe needs a strawberry foil wrapper candy like a 1937 grandma and lemon drops. Oh goodness.
She got a good one. While I'm up here trying to check on something else, she got a good one on me. I can't dispute that.
Can you hear me now, Elaine?
Yeah. And Cliff, I meant to ask you, are either of your daughters into origami?
No, that takes too much practice. They ain't patient enough.
Oh, I was about to say, because I know how to do origami cranes and a few other things. I will teach them and send paper for them. Okay. I thought it might be something that, because you have to focus in order to do it anywhere near correctly. I thought, because I know you were saying your youngest especially, it might be something to help her make. No, she's okay.
We're trying to teach her piano now, and we can't even get her to put the fingers in the right spot because she's like, I'm putting them where I want to. Damn it! I'm like, oh. Okay. But Joe, if you actually get the strawberry foil wrapper candy, I want to know how you managed it, because I always thought that stuff just appeared in your house at a certain age.
No. There's certain outlets you could go and get those, and I don't know how or where or why, but
I think nowadays
I see it every so often on the mobile mall that we call the L train.
I just I was just hoping to reach it to that age where that little bitty crystal candy jar showed up at my house, and it had the strawberry candy and the old-fashioned butterscotch in it.
Well, if you want the ribbon candy, you can get that from Harry and David.
Mm. All I know is what my mother passed away, and we were cleaning out her room here. We found her mother's purse, and her mother
no. She had the candy in her purse.
her mother died in the 90s, and we went through the purse, and it still had strawberry and old-fashioned butterscotch in it.
Good. It was probably, if it's
It
old-fashioned
was. I ate
it's
it.
probably still good.
It was. That stuff has been around since the dinosaurs. It's
I like
fun.
the strawberries. It has the little strawberry jam in the middle of it. I love those things.
Yeah.
I love those things. I love those things. Those are some of my favorite.
I just thought it was a rite of passage. You know, you get your AARP card and those show up with it. So I was just waiting.
I have not gone ahead and gotten my AARP card ever since I turned, as Beanie says, 10 hands old.
I'm 65. I still ain't in AARP yet.
Look, y'all don't break my dreams. I was just hoping this stuff just showed up.
No, it doesn't show up. They want money. They want money.
You don't get it for free. It's not like you wake up and it's like, hey, you just turned da. Here's that old folks candy. No, you got to go to Harry and David or the Swiss Colony, and
they're still around.
Yep, Swiss Colony, unless they closed in the last few years, the Swiss Colony is still around, and they have and you can order the ribbon candies and the strawberry candies and stuff from them.
Now, see, y'all just ruined my entire motivation for getting older.
You want me to?
Yeah, those commercials that you see on TV, they are lies. They are lies because it doesn't automatically happen. They're up there. It's like, oh, you could get all these different benefits, and trust me, these contractors and stuff, they was like, oh yeah, are you a member of this, that, or the other? It's like, you'll be like, no, well, here, use this app to go ahead and get your apply right now. It would cost you an extra blah blah blah. I was like, okay, whatever.
I had to explain to my friend
It ain't no library card.
We don't get ours automatic, you know.
I was just hoping it'd be like, a gift basket. Hey, you reach this age. Here's your candy. Here's your AARP card. And here's your reverse mortgage. Here.
No, the only thing I got is they didn't kick me off the vote by mail roll because I turned 65 this year. So I can still vote by mail. Usually my oldest and I vote by mail, except this year he found out because he turns 39 this year. He's not old enough to vote by mail anymore. And because usually if you vote by mail a week before they send you your ballot, they send you an email. Hey, we're getting your ballot together. It should be at your house. If you don't get it in 10 days, call somebody, let us know. And I love it because I dropped my ballot in. We dropped our ballots off on Friday. They sent me an email Monday morning. Hey, we got your ballot. Everything's cool. Your vote will be counted. It's like, yo, grandma, got my vote on. I love
Lucky
that.
you. Because down here in the state of Mississippi, they are officially getting rid of mail-in ballots.
Oh my goodness. I
am so sorry. Again, they've been working that across the country about mail-in.
Yeah, so now it's here in Chicago. It's 65 and above. Because enough seniors got up and said, hello, we do most of the voting in this city. Don't take away our ballots. And they went, okay. So we get to keep our mail-in voting. They may actually, and if enough seniors, across your state get mad enough, they may reinstate it for seniors only, because not all senior homes, some seniors homes here in the city act as polling places for the people in those buildings. My mother used to live out in Chatham, and the seniors building she was in had two buildings. They were part of the same complex. and one building would act as polling places for both those buildings. You had to be a resident to be able to come in and vote. You couldn't just come in off the street. But for the seniors, because some of them were not ambulatory, they would set up a polling place so that those who could make it down there to vote could. And then they always had at least one or two poll workers, depending on, they had to have two because one Republican, one Democrat. They would, and other tenants would come and check on each other and then go down and say, so-and-so in this unit can't make it down. And so somebody would go up there with a ballot and let them fill it in and then bring it down for them.
Out here. Here,
So-
this Mississippi's so red that if you walk into a polling place and tell them that you're a registered Democrat, they point in the corner and they got one of those old punch ballots from the 1970s if you're supposed to vote on. They don't care.
We treat Republicans better than that here. Now if you come into a black neighborhood, because I live in South Shore, which is primarily black. And the last time I worked as an election judge, these two black Republicans walked in, and we let them vote, but we were looking at them like, you need to turn your card in before we're going to let you vote. We'll put a sticker on your head that says no longer black, and then we'll let you vote.
That just seems like an oxymoron.
It is somewhat. But actually,
I keep my opinions myself.
You would be surprised. There are a lot of people in hip hop, a lot of male rappers specifically, and hip hop artists are conservatives because now that they got money, they don't want to pay taxes.
Oh yeah, my oldest tells me, "Oh, you can't be a fan of this artist anymore because they're pro this or that." And I'm like, I don't care what Snoop Dogg is pro anything. He's still that guy that sips gin and juice. I don't care what he does.
You like gin and juice?
No, he likes the music. He just likes
the only song I know.
Oh, okay. That's the only Snoop. Okay, got it. No, I know Snoop Dogg primarily. I know most of his work because he hangs out with Martha Stewart because they and
well, my oldest said, before she turned on him, she goes, Snoop Dogg has gotten to that point in his life where all he does is go around and complete side quests. I was like, yeah, pretty much. Good for him.
Yeah, but he and since Martha, Martha went to prison and got legit. He and Martha have been like they
funny how Martha got that street cred now. They not this past year before last, there were dolls. They had matching dolls made and sold by the same manufacturer.
Hey man, I got my Snoop Dogg and Martha Stewart cookbook for Christmas last year.
Yeah, she likes her weed brown.
Let's say all that to say is like it is what it is, but that's not what gets me worried about elections nowadays. Is what they're doing postal wise with the postmarks now. They're finding ways to for either side to take advantage of something.
Well, that's why I don't mail my ballot in. I have never, I think I've only mailed it in once or twice since I've done mail-in voting. I will go to an early voting place and then just drop it in. Because they now, if you go early voting or you go the day of, you can go to a polling place and just drop, they have a drop box. You drop a mail-in ballot.
The big blue box.
And like I said, and that way it counts. And the one that I use, the one over on Stony, like I said, we went in on a Friday. Monday morning, they sent me an email. We got your ballot. Because when you go there, there's a sign that says all ballots put in on this day are counted the next, calendar day.
Mhm.
And then, so it's like, okay, so somebody, I went in on a Friday, they picked it up Saturday, and then it went downtown and they processed it Monday
Mhm.
morning and sent me an email going, yo, girl, you good. I'm like, okay.
Well, see, the other the other fly in the ointment with that down here is Chicago. Your population is larger than the population of our state, so they're not worried about making things efficient down here because they don't have to.
Okay.
You know, there's less than 3 million people in the entire state of Mississippi.
Wow.
So
Really?
yeah, yeah.
Dang.
So no, we don't have to make things efficient down here, just like we don't have to do anything to bring warehouse jobs down here because nobody. There's still that Southern mentality about you just either finish school or drop out and go to work. So you don't have to worry about any of that. You just go get them a job at Amazon. That's why on my YouTube now I get the propaganda commercials for thanks Amazon for bringing warehouses to our state and helping us pay for our electrical grid. Like
Really?
seriously? Yes.
We were like vibing there for a second. I was like, really? So
Yes.
at least I know it's not it's not just me with the algorithm going, oh, Elaine, you went and looked this up. Let's send you 50 commercials about this.
Mhm. No, I get the worst is right now because it's election time. I get all the those great Mississippi election commercials that
We
were
get them
filmed on
here.
someone's iPhone 2.
I get them. If I'm on YouTube, um,
I get sick of them.
every fifth commercial, no, right now, every third commercial is political.
Yes, but see, the thing is, you're in a major metropolitan area, so those people actually know how to make commercials and have money.
That
I'm
don't
down
mean they're
here.
worth watching.
I'm down here where somebody's cousin filmed this on their phone and they put it up to the public broadcasting and it ended up on YouTube.
Oh, okay. That's
That's what I have to
scary.
watch. So
No.
yeah.
I've gotten to the point where with political commercials, especially before the early voting, about halfway through early voting, the candidates were just running their commercials about their platforms. Now they're running their attack commercials. And it's always interesting when you realize somebody's campaign, the attack commercial is probably not true because usually if a commercial doesn't end with I'm whoever that candidate is and I approve this message, that means somebody in the office put that together and they did not they said go ahead and do commercials, but they did not approve that particular message
Well, you know
because
the
it makes them, and it's like, okay, you didn't approve that message. That means there's probably some untruth in all that stuff you're spouting. So I'm not going to believe you. And the more commercials I see you putting up there about this person, that person, and the other, because we have Dick Durbin, who used to be my senator, is leaving. He's retired finally. And Dick Durbin is like 5 seconds short of the grave. Actually, I think he's 5 seconds late of the grave. I think he's made a bargain with Dracula, and Dracula is now calling it in. But Dickie is leaving, and there are 10 people right now trying to fill his spot.
It's sad.
Which is one of the reasons we have a primary, because there are 10 Democrats there's 10 Democrats and I think 3 Republicans trying to take his spot. It's almost like a really bad episode of the Bozo Show.
No, I thought it was more like an episode of soap.
A bad episode of soap.
It's probably just my being naive and being younger, but I remember when I was growing up and they would have the attack commercials on TV, when George Bush was attacking Mike Dukakis and any of that, and they were so ridiculous they were funny.
Yes.
And now the problem is they're still ridiculous, but it's like half of that actually might be true. It's like
Jackass now is like that shred of evidence because they do go back and point to actual sources from the news where the stuff came up. They only giving you a snippet, but they're not giving you the context.
Especially, and some of them I have looked up, and it was like, okay, what you accuse this person of. When I went to read that article after I got through the paywall for it, and that's another way they know people. A lot of people aren't going to check because they'll cite a source like the Sun Times or something, and you hit a paywall wall, so they're not going to go through the paywall
There's no
to
more
read
physical
that.
papers. That's the
Yeah.
reason why.
And so, but you go through the paywall and you read, and it's like, oh, that is what you just accused the Sun Times of accusing them of is not, you took these 4 lines, interjected them with other stuff, and then made it sound like they were accused of corruption. And that's not what it is. It's like, no, this article does not say that. And at the end of this article, it proves that they were not, but the fact that you can put this stuff together to make it look like that. And it's like, and there are a couple of candidates I didn't vote for simply because of that. It's like, whatever you tried to push, I lost faith in you because this is what you stooped to. And the fact that you stooped to this made me decide maybe the person that you're talking all this smack about is a better choice, because I see all of your stuff attacking them, but they're not putting out stuff attacking you. So it's learning, and it's not till you get older sometimes where you can make that step back and go, this argument has 2 sides and you're the only one yelling.
That what makes this one race so interesting, because one attack ad that just came out got approved by the candidate.
The one that's the one that's against Croak, or is it somebody else?
The one that pretty much uses snippets from the person's former campaign. Talking about it's like, who is the one that did this, that, or the other? Did they use a snippet for his campaign to say his name? I was like, oh, they actually approved this message. I wonder why. Because normally when attack ads come out, there's some type, it's normally tied to some type of dark money type, advocacy that normally ties. But when you come out and say like this is approved by you support that message, one or two things are going to come out. Either you know something and actually telling somewhat of a truth there, or you're banking on that people are not going to follow up on it.
Yeah, like I said, a lot of that stuff, when you go to the different news sites, they're behind paywalls. And a lot of people, the minute you start reading and you get that little bit of snippet that they included and you try to get below it, boom, there's a paywall. And it's like, okay, so now I got to either pay, or sign up for the free whatever so I can get past, because they'll say, oh, you get a week free. And then have to write myself a note to say 3 days from now, cancel this.
I don't know. I'm still at that age where I can remember where the only news you got was your local news broadcasts. And because that was all you got, you actually had to trust that news person.
Not anymore.
Well,
and we're so far removed from that now. It's like, I might as well just get my news from Facebook. This is about the level we're at.
Well, you used to get.
There's a lot of people that do that though.
Yeah, you used to get, because we had ABC, CBS, NBC. They had their evening news, and you would get the local news first, and then they would switch over to the national news for those stations. And depending on the day of the week, you might get 60 Minutes. Or you might get it when they opened it up, NBC Nightline.
Right.
And then ABC, because like I said, Geraldo Rivera used to be a liberal, firebrand, and he was always having some there were a ton of investigative journalists that were doing ABC specials.
No, it wasn't. No, it was one other show on ABC that people keep forgetting about with Mr. Hugh Downs called 2020.
2020, yep. That's it.
Yeah.
And Geraldo was like, if Geraldo wasn't on, then it was Ralph Nader. You always got one of the two or both. If you got both, it's like, somebody's in trouble now.
Even with that back then, you had your local news broadcasters that everybody listened to because they were the only ones. And then the national news broadcasters, there was only, those network ones, Tom Brokaw, Dan Rather, so on and so forth. And that was it. So everyone got the same national news.
It was one more.
Oh, yeah, there were more.
I'm old enough
I know,
to
but that was the only two I remember.
Walter Cronkite.
I said those two.
I'm old enough to remember Walter Cronkite.
Yes, but that was all you got. So if you were one of these people that was a news hound and you listened to the news, it was one of those, and that was it. Now,
if you wanted a deeper story, you would get, depending on how you were bent. Here in Chicago, it was either the Tribune, the Sun-Times, or Chicago Today. Chicago Today would be the most liberal of the three.
See, I don't remember that. I remember Tribune. Sometimes, if you want something that was more relatable, you go to Defender, because Defender didn't care.
Defender was a black. Yeah, Defender was a black community. There were different communities would also have their independent papers. And actually, if you were listing a business, because that's how I did my business lending, I went to the Defender and did it in their thing. If a local, what they called a local paper, had enough of a viewership, you could do your business listing through that, which is what I did. But you had to. The city used to be full of small press papers. They would have maybe. And they would deliver to specific areas and neighborhoods. I think we got the Defender.
Well, Defender, I was upper echelon, but you had things like the Hyde Park Herald that's still around. That's still small level.
Even though you had the more partisan news groups back then, it was still all basically the same version of the story, just with a small slant on it. Nowadays, you can pick what level of reality you want to be in with what you're listening to.
Yeah, or even reading, because it, like I said, it used to be the Sun-Times would be a little more. Well, I'm trying to remember. They were both pretty conservative, both the Sun-Times and the other one, but one was a little more. One was more middle road. One was more seriously conservative, and then the and like I said, Chicago Today, which was a paper in Chicago. You could get it downtown for a while, and then I guess sometime after the 80s they quit publishing the Chicago Today. So because between the Sun-Times and the Tribune, I guess they got tired of Chicago Today and they squashed it. I used to love it because my mother on Sundays would get both papers, so I could read all the funnies. I was a funnies nut. So we would get the Sunday paper delivered, and then the other papers she might pick up.
Why am I still thinking about the Lear McNair report? That was
the McNeil Lair. Oh my goodness!
That was the only other unbiased thing, that if he was into news or if he was forced to look at one of those specials that they had, it was pretty much unbiased. It was just facts, figures, and you get to make up your mind here.
High school classes, if you had to, and everybody had to take a class that included current events. social studies, when you had to take social studies, McNeil Lehrer became part of your vocabulary because, you know, once you became a sophomore, there was always a social study teachers who would go, "Did you watch McNeil Lehrer?" My social studies teacher, she loved McNeil Lehrer and Newsweek. And when she set us an assignment, she would say, "Your sources had better be McNeil Lehrer or Newsweek." Those were the only two sources that she would accept. We had to cut articles out of Newsweek. I had to go buy copies of Newsweek, and you would write your paper, and then she wanted to see that article attached to your form.
Wow. That's just strange. But then again, it is what it is here. But only thing I want to do, I want to flash forward to where Cliff is talking about the major change. The major change happened around, I want to say 89, 90.
Okay.
When cable television was hitting its full stride, and then we had C-SPAN and CNN coming into play.
Yeah.
And then once that came into play, you saw
that changed the landscape
of everything, because C-SPAN was 100%, 100%. I want to say Congress hearings all day long.
Yeah.
CNN was pretty much news all day long, regardless of what the story was. It was all national news over and over and over. There was no such thing as a news cycle anymore. It was
24. It was 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
There was no, and I know for me that became exhausting. It was like, because you would go, okay, you know what? Let me check Channel 7 and see what they have to say. When I moved to LA, it was like, let me check KTLA. You know, you would have your channels and you would check and go, okay. Or, you know, I knew people who, depending on how you like your morning news shows, because people forget Good Morning America and the Today Show both kind of started as morning news programs. And then expanded into entertainment. They used to be morning news programs with a little bit of entertainment thrown in. And then all of a sudden they became these entertainment programs.
With very little news thrown in.
With very little news. It's like 5 minutes of news and 55 minutes of entertainment. It's like, I remember when it used to be like, 50 minutes of news and 10 minutes of entertainment. But it was how people started their day. But now it's like you can't get away from it. But at least even then you had a sense of what the truth was. There were voices you could trust. And like I said, I was really surprised to come back here, and guys who were very liberal have now turned conservative. And it's like, what did they hit their heads? Was it a bad acid trip? What happened? Ralph Nader was Mr. Consumer Protection, the Consumer Protection Agency and stuff. The EPA, all that came about because of him and Nader's Raiders.
Well, see, the two things that happen most of the time with that are, always the money. But the other one is you reach a certain point in your life where you become afraid of change. So you revert back to what you feel comfortable with. And a lot of that is what ends up with people becoming more conservative as they get older.
Except
not everybody.
Yeah, because I was going to say, I came up under the hippies. I'm at the end. I was born in 1961. And depending on who's counting, the baby boomer either ends around 65 or 69, because there are some groups that call. I was born in 61. My sister was born in 67. Depending on who's doing what, she's a boomer, or she's like Gen X or whatever came after us. But we were those little kids who looked up to the hippies, and when I find myself going back, I'm going back to Jerry Garcia and those guys. I'm like the Grateful Dead and all the hippie. I don't find myself more conservative. You know, it was, and I think it also is what was the generation ahead of you, or who were
and there's also
teens in your and within your group.
And you know, there's also the fact we're all living longer. So the next generation doesn't really get to move ahead because the former generation's still around and the generation before that. But I mean, you can look at it like, I mean, and this is a bad example, but it's like getting back on what the name of the show is here. Look at the people who are like, I don't like all these new modern comic books. They're woke, or that's not my Superman. It's the same thing. They're afraid of change. They have that. That's where they started to become conservative in their viewpoint of the world, or that newfangled music isn't music. What I listened to, that was music.
Yeah,
like, you listen to Jimi Hendrix. I mean, my grandmother said that's not music. What are you talking about?
The thing is I always thought that there was something wrong with me because I grew up in a point where you could find movies that were made in the 20s running on TV. Film noir, you know, all that stuff in the 30s and 40s, early 50s, all that stuff was on TV when I was a kid. You know, I probably saw about 85% of Hitchcock's films because they came on the ABC 3 o'clock movie. You know, whether it was Rope, you know, or what was it? It was Rope or The Birds. Oh my gosh, I don't know how many times I'd seen The Birds on the 3, you know, channel 7, 3 p.m. the ABC 3 o'clock movie. You know, we would see. I saw The Birds and it scared the Jesus out of me. For the longest time, I couldn't. If a bird landed in front of me, I would just stand there screaming.
Yeah, that is true. That's hashtag
all those hairstyles in that movie scared me.
You know, but you had a lot of great movies. I grew up on movie musicals. You know, so you had great film noir. You had all the creature features on Channel 9 on Saturdays used to show the old MGM horror films, which is how I learned MGM's old horror library because I saw them all growing up. You know, and if I didn't see them, and then I learned about a lot of schlocky horror films from the 40s on, from Svengoolie, Jerry G. Bishop's Svengoolie, the one that Bette Midler wrote the song for. That nobody, I was in a discussion group towards the end of the year. None of us can find a recording of that show. Bishop took it with him. And nobody can, we can remember the words, but nobody can show it. And they haven't run that song since Bishop's tenure as Svengoolie ended. And it was, Bette Midler was on her first cross-country tour. She hadn't made it huge yet. Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy hadn't come out. And Divine Miss M hadn't reached the status that it did, because that was her first big album. And she was doing all these little interview shows promoting the album and stuff. And Jerry G. Bishop, along with being Svengoolie, he was also a WLS disc jockey, very popular WLS disc jockey. And somehow he convinced her to come on his show. He got her on Svengoolie, and she brought her back up and wrote this song for him and performed it, and they recorded it. And you know, those of us who are old enough to actually remember it are now done because we can't. You didn't have, you know, very few people had these. What was that? In fact, I don't think anybody had recording devices back then where you could, unless you had a tape player. And who knew that she was going to be, you know, she was going to become the Divine Miss M. You know, and they were playing it, so we didn't record it. I wish I had a recorder to record it, because you know, I could then get hold of her and say, I got your tape. You want this tape?
See now, I spent the longest time believing that Bette Midler was just Lily Tomlin's friend in movies. It wasn't until that god awful song about the wind beneath my wings came out. I found out she used to sing. Um,
Wow. Well, we need to shift
She
gears
still
back to
sings.
comics here because we did a
Yes,
whole
we didn't-
hour on this.
Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. It's my fault.
No, it's
I
not
will
your fault.
take-
It was interesting while it lasted here, but we have to shift gears for a bit because I know Cliff got some books that need to be
Yes.
talked about. I got somewhat of a rant to do.
I don't know if they need to be talked about, but they'll be talked about.
Okay.
I also
Well-
want to get this ankle wrap off my foot before I feel like the need to cut it off.
Okay. So what we're going to do here is Cliff has the floor.
Oh, great. All right, so I'm going to start off before we get into the KO stuff. Even though this is somewhat tied into it, I told you last week I picked it up and I was going to read the new history of the DC universe, the Dakota incident.
Oh shit.
So this is tying the milestone characters into the greater DC universe. Now, complete and utter upfront disclosure, I have never read any milestone book ever, unless it was one where it was like static guest stars in Justice League. So I have no prior real deep history of these characters. But I don't think, from what I do know about them, I don't think this does them very much justice. And I'm not sure if Dwayne McDuffie was still alive if this would have been printed. So we will dive in. So it starts off with a shot of the future, and you have the character named Beacon, who is Rocket son. And the only reason I know who Rocket is because she was a character in Young Justice.
You're talking about Icon
Icon
sidekick.
Icon sidekick.
Okay.
And he is on the earpiece with his uncle Virgil, who I do know that's Static Shock. I'm not that out of it. And he's fighting this bad guy, and then all of a sudden nonsense happens and the world starts shaking, and Beacon's armor or earpiece or whatever says temporal anomaly detected, and he escapes into the time stream before everything ceases to exist. And he says, I'll fix this, Mom. I'll save everyone.
Okay.
And then we get over here, the intro. Rocket's son and Static's protege, Amistad Irving, once had a bright future as Beacon, the latest protector and symbol of hope for Dakota City. But now the world he once knew is no more. Escaping into the past and I'm sorry, but whoever picked the font for this needs to be shot because all the S's look like Z's and it's confusing me. In a desperate attempt to restore his present, he witnesses firsthand the legendary clashes between the greatest heroes and villains of yesterday. But as he tumbles through the time stream, this young hero will quickly learn that history itself is never quite set in stone. And then we got a bunch of little glass fragments of different points in DC history. We have the button from that Batman's Flash team up in Rebirth. We've got Absolute Power, Dark Crisis, just a picture of Swamp Thing because no New 52 anywhere to be found on this page.
What?
Yep. And then on the next page, it is all snapshots from Infinite Crisis and Final Crisis. And then at the very bottom, you finally get the milestone characters, and it says the Dakota incident. And we go back into time, the golden year for the city of Dakota, and they're talking about the mayor and these two, and Curtis Metcalf and Edwin Alva are talking about the one part of the city that has crime, and they're going to use this special radioactive gas to tag all the rioters where they can track them easier. And that's what became the Big Bang in the Dakota universe, where everyone started getting their superpowers. And this go on talking about all the people that died from the gas, and then we have the rise of the Blood Syndicate, which I do know was a comic at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then the arrival of Static Shock, and he was the first hero.
Was he?
In according to this, in the Milestone universe, he was the first hero.
I thought Icon predates him by a
Well, no,
lot.
well, that's what's coming next.
Okay.
And as this is going on, in little snippets, you have the voice of Recon or Beacon, I'm sorry, saying this isn't right, this isn't what I remember, but now what I remember is changing. So this is rewriting the history of the Milestone universe.
Okay.
And then so we have Static, and then it says Static, a bright and shiny beacon who showed others the way. And that's where we have it doesn't say her name, but Rocket discovers Augustus Freeman, an alien who's been on Earth since 1839, and convinces him to become Icon. And then so Rocket and Icon are going around being heroes. And while all this is going on, where's his name? The person who becomes Hardware gets framed for a lot of things that went wrong with the company that did the Big Bang, and so he becomes Hardware. And then let's see, it says Dakota became a city with superheroes, and everybody's everyday life was a wondrous thing, filled with unlimited possibilities. Wait, what's happening here? And this is where the time stream starts changing. Edwin Alva is murdered, and it looks like Hardware is the one who murdered him, or he's framed to be. And now this is where we start to get real weird with it. You find out that Edwin Alva, who created the gas that they used that created the Bang babies, as they called them, was part of Project Superman, which was the overall DC Universe plan to create their own superhumans the government had.
Well, part of Katniss, that was one of their own Superman.
Well,
the Black Ops Katniss, the Black Ops Katniss.
Yeah, and because in Doomsday Clock, it was a whole big international cabal of governments that did it, because you found out Firestorm was supposed to be a government project, and so on and so forth.
Well, it also explained New Superman, the Superman of Korea, as well.
Yeah. So everything in the Milestone universe was because of Project Superman. It's going along. They're talking about that. And we find out a time frame for when all this has happened in the new timeline, because all of this with the death of whatever his name was, Edwin Alva, and everyone learning about the Dakota incident, all of this is happening in the time when Lex Luthor was president.
Wow, and they moved the slide rule on us here.
And so all this happened then, and he is using it as his excuse to go in and take control of the city. And he has Amanda Waller send in the Suicide Squad to put down the rabble rousers and make the heroes either stand down or die. So, and now, okay, I don't know a lot about the Milestone characters, I already said that, but I do know that Static Shock and Icon are really heavy hitters. The team of Suicide Squad members they sent in to take on the Dakota verse consists of a bunch of army men, Captain Boomerang, Deadshot, and Bronze Tiger. I don't know.
It would be interesting depending on who they get to take on. Who do they actually fight? That would have been my question at that point, where I could say what would have been good, what would have been bad. Well, those characters versus Icon, it does not look good for Suicide Squad.
No. Well, the first group they come across are the Blood Syndicate.
Does not look good for Suicide Squad.
Well, this is Masquerade, Tech 9, Fade, DMZ, and Wise Sun. And Deadshot is soloing most of them. And then Bronze Tiger's beating up one of them. And then the heavy hitters show up, and Icon and Static and Rocket start pushing everyone back, trying to defend the city. Bronze Tiger realizes, wait, attacking civilians and tries to help out. But the civilians are like, this is our city. You need to get out. And then Luther sends Captain Atom in, and we get these really nice pages of Icon fighting Captain Atom.
Even if Captain Atom goes boom, it's not going to stop. It's not going to stop Icon.
No. And then Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman show up to try to make peace with everybody. And it's going on. And basically what ends up happening is Lex Luthor comes in with the DEO, for the Department of Extranormal Operations, who at this time is headed by Sarge Steele with his little silver hand, which always makes me laugh. And he comes in and he basically said the U.S. government takes over the city of Dakota and forces all of the heroes to go back into their civilian identities and not be superheroes anymore. And they convince Icon and Hardware, because they know Icon and Hardware are like the Batman and Superman of the Milestone universe. If they can convince them to sign on and go along with it, everyone else will fall in line. So they decide to do it to protect the future of the city. And Rocket and Static destroy all the files in the building that the gas was made in, where Lex Luthor and the U.S. government won't have the ability to do another Dakota incident. And so they all retire. And to make sure they all have the point, Luthor makes them all shake his hand, and he tells Virgil straight to his face, you don't have to worry about the city being safe, or if you intend to break our agreement, because Agent Steele will be running a DEO office here in Dakota to ensure you don't continue to use your powers. And it'll be in the community center, not far from your house where your parents live. So they all get blackmailed into retiring.
See, and I still got a problem with that, because there's still certain villains that, even with that happening, how are you going to stop Heatwave? How are you going to stop people who have like that bent to be like, we just don't care? How are you going to stop Ebon?
Apparently it worked, because they all stopped, and then at the end you found out Rocket is pregnant with Beacon, and he falls back out of the time stream into the corrected universe or corrected timeline, and he looks for Virgil Hawkins, Static Shock, who's happily retired as a college student and apparently sneakily uses his powers to charge all of his classmates' devices, because why not? And Beacon finds him and is trying to convince him of who he is, and then the circuitry in his little headgear thing says, temporal safeguards are offline, temporal erasure imminent. So all that he knew of the past timeline is fixing to be erased. So he does the Wally West thing from Rebirth, and he grabs Virgil and says it's time to wake up. And now Static remembers the universe that doesn't exist anymore and decides to be Static Shock again. And that is the Dakotaverse. And none of it really set right with me. It just seemed like,
the ending doesn't set well with me from where they began everything. It's like, really? You did all that to say go ahead into retirement, and it's like, okay, everything about to get reset. Here, now I have you, and now you're going to be a part of this erasure. No, I'm not. I just remembered everything. Aha! I have to be Static again. No.
Well, I have something that will sit well with you. I do have something that will sit well with you.
Is it Peach Cobbler?
No. If you guys ever come up here, though,
Okay.
Found this.
The
Swiss
Mint.
Colony. Yes, they have the buttermints.
Awesome.
They don't have the ribbon candy right now because that's more of a holiday thing. And the holiday they're focusing on right now is Easter.
Mm-hmm.
But you can find the Swiss Colony online. I remember when everybody and his mama used to get Swiss Colony, they would it. I loved catalogs. Catalogs were my jam as a kid. I couldn't afford to buy stuff from the catalogs, but I used to just love to look at them.
Elaine just gave me flashbacks to the wish list books and all the Christmas catalogs from like
The
and
Sears wish
Sears
book,
and
the Sears wish book, that big
Mm-hmm.
mofo, and they had just about anything that and everything Sears sold was in that book. Yeah, I love me. My heart broke. I have the last IKEA catalog that they sent out. And they sent it to me as this is the last catalog we're sending anybody. And nobody, it used to be. Now the only company that sends me catalogs on a regular basis is Hirschner's. And that's because the thread I use for my jewelry making, they sell. And they sell the color and size they sell colors and sizes that I can't get anywhere. I used to be able to get them at the Michaels in Hyde Park, but then Michaels closed that store down.
mm-hmm.
And I can't get those threads. Michaels closed. Joanne had the thread, but then Joanne closed. I'm like, what is this? Is this a sign from the heavens to say I shouldn't make jewelry?
They had all these upscale stores that are slowly going away, and I actually miss Michaels because I used to go to Michaels.
Well,
to
Michaels
get,
is still around. It's just there
no,
are no more Michaels.
That store on like 53rd is no longer there though.
No,
That's
the one on 53rd is gone. No, it wasn't on 53rd. It was that 53rd or 51st?
51st.
51st on the second floor above the Whole Foods. The nearest Michaels is over on 90 something in Cicero.
Right, over west.
You either have to go to like Lake Meadows to get it, or you have to go to the north side. And I have not been to that one. West of
Michaels.
us.
If the Michaels over there off of Canal gone, like I want to say like
that
Canal
Michaels
and
has
Roosevelt.
been gone. I used to love that Michaels over at Roosevelt and Halsted. They're gone. Everything
I thought it was Roosevelt and Canal because
it's Roosevelt and Canal before you hit Halsted.
Right.
But just about everything in that place, because they also had a World Market there. And all of that stuff is gone. Even the Whole Foods that used to be there is gone.
So it just seems like everything that was around that White Palace Grill is just slowly going away. What about the Staples that was across the street from it?
What's the electric store? The electronics store?
What, Radio Shack? No. No, I'm trying to think which one you're talking about here. I know what you're talking about in that area.
They're still there.
Okay.
And there's the Office Depot. No, not an Office Depot. It's
Staples across the street.
Staples is still over there.
Okay, so the Staples still across the street. Okay.
And that little mall that used to be where the Dominics used to be, I think it's now a Jewel-Osco.
Okay.
And I think that place
that the Best Buy is still there.
I don't know if the Best Buy. The Walgreens that's at Roosevelt and State has changed. There are no people at the counters at Walgreens. Everything is electronic. You go and you get the stuff, and then you have to scan it.
Okay.
There are no more people at the counters for you to deal with. I think the only people that you deal with are over behind or at the pharmacy side.
Jeez.
Yeah, that Walgreens.
So much has changed because that was the old iconic one that used to have the counters back in the day too, the lunch counters.
That one used to have the lunch counters. That one,
and Woolworth used to have the lunch counter down the street from it too.
The one on Jackson and State had the lunch counter. The last Walgreens with a lunch counter was the one on Michigan and Chicago. And I used to go there to when I was working at Holiday Inn, I would go there and get an espresso because I would have to pull these long shifts because my shift ended usually at 11, but about 10:30 I get a call from my supervisor going, the midnight operator is not going to be in for, she's going to be 30 minutes late. And then 1:30 2 a.m. she'd saunter in, you know, and so I would have to, you know, I would have to be trucking home. So it's like, yeah, I would go like, oh, she's supposed to be on. Let me go get me an espresso because I know I'm gonna have to stay because she ain't gonna walk up in here till 1:30 or so.
Mhm.
But yeah, I used to love that Walgreens. It was a great place to for the longest time, even back in the 90s, $10 you could get a decent meal. You know,
Mhm.
you get a grilled cheese or a burger and fries and a coffee or a Coke or something. $10 would do you. You know, you can't get that. It's like Juniors. I have not been to the Juniors over at Clark and Lake. That's in the train station. That's the last Juniors that I know of. Junior Steakhouse.
You mean
It's
Ronnie's Steakhouse?
Ronnie. Sorry, I know what I was saying.
I was
Yeah,
like, Juniors.
Ronnie's.
You're like, what are you talking about, Juniors? It's like, no, that's Ronnie's.
Sorry, Ronnie's. I have not been to Ronnie's since they closed the one that used to be by the what was the Oriental Theater. That is now no more the Oriental Theater.
No, Oriental. I
There
forgot
were
what Oriental.
two
No, I forgot
theaters.
what Oriental. I forgot what Oriental became, because when I used to work off of
That's all.
out of 401 South State, across the street was a small Ronnie's there because I used to get breakfast and stuff, like get my steak and egg breakfast from there.
There was that one. There was also the Ronnie's over on Wabash.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the bigger ones to go to. The one that had the disco in it was the nicest because that was like their flagship and they had the disco.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think that was the only one you could also order. I don't know because I last time I was at a Ronnie's I was like 18. So, you know, I was not in the you can order alcohol here age.
Yeah.
So,
Last time I was at Ronnie's was just before they moved me out of the Thompson Center.
and of course, the Thompson Center is now gone.
It's
Yeah.
no, technically it's still there. It's just not being used by the state. Their Google hasn't started their construction as of yet. I believe
Yeah,
Google bought it. I believe Google bought the building.
Google bought it and then it just sits there.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, and I never liked the sculpture in front of it. It to me, it looked like a happy, to me, the Thompson Center look and that sculpture looked like somebody plunked a booger down in front of a half-eaten Hershey's Kiss. What it looked like to me.
It just seemed like it was just a few. It was just a few days ago that they just opened up the Thompson Center. Who would have thought that that building was as old as it was?
To come back and have to remember, it's really weird being downtown and remembering the downtown of my childhood, you know, because people forget the Loop, what is now a very Tony residential area, used to be a bunch of where was small factories, warehouses, and prints and printers. There was a
That
crane.
was during your time, because what I remember of the Loop was mostly like small mom and pop businesses. You know, small mom and pop jewelers, mom and pop uh, businesses for like printing, clothing, and all this other stuff. I mean, it was a little bit of everything down on Wabash. It was a little bit of everything on Randolph, and I just remember that newsstand because I
Well,
used to get
people
my comics
forget
there.
the the building that Crane built. Crane and Cranes was they had Chicago business, New York,
Mhm.
and everything. Crane wasn't. They not only did a paper, business paper, but they also were they also did their own papers. They were a specialty paper store, and their flagship store was in their building on Michigan Avenue towards Roosevelt.
Mm-hmm.
And then there were several other buildings where there were Crane stores. There used to be quite a few because you had such a big executive class downtown. There used to be a lot of stores that specialized in custom pens. A lot of people used to buy not just they bought high-end ballpoint, but they also bought calligraphy pens and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And they had shops that just they sold the pens and they sold the inks and they sold paper. And those stores are all gone.
Yep. But let me go ahead and change gears before we can go ahead and get out of here. We got to talk about why everything is not so sisterly anymore.
I'm not looking forward to this.
Now, like I said, this is one of the few times that I'm reviewing a book here, but because of the topic of the book here, we have to go back in the day because we have to go back in the day because the dolls and stuff was not as, if I could say, as prevalent to what was actually in the comics here. Yes. And that what made me kind of mad and why I wanted to kind of rant here a little bit, because the character was never evil, but yet when they made the overall introduction of the character, when it came to bringing it out to market after, she made her appearance in the comics, they turned her evil. And I just don't understand what was the whole point. It's like, what was the whole point of the 70s at this point here? But nevertheless, we're going to start out by talking about the original toy commercial for the character that we're talking about here.
Dressed this way, she's a Navy Wave. But beneath that uniform, she is the Wonder Woman doll. And now you can create your own Wonder Woman adventures with these other dolls. Major Steve Trevor, Nubia, Wonder Woman Super Foe.
Oh, that's supposed to be Wonder
Woman. How does your twin sister become a super foe? How? Again, this is 1970s. That's 1977.
Oh wow, I was 16.
So again,
I have not.
Again, this is right around the time that they gave Wonder Woman her powers back. They introduced Nubia in the comic books as a twin sister. She was not evil. Diana had no idea that she had a twin, and then her father, pretty much did the whole story about how Nubia came about and how Ares took her away to this other island, and then she became like the Wonder Woman for this one other tribe.
She also didn't have silver hair. That's why I mistook her when for the picture, because the ABC movie of the week that had Ricardo Montalban as the bad guy
and Kathy Lee Crosby
as Wonder Woman, a blonde Wonder Woman, almighty Isis. Anyway, one of his henchwomen characters was this chick with the silver thing, and she was also from the mascara. And they had to fight because she was working for Montalban's character.
But she wasn't African American.
She wasn't African American, but like I said, when I saw the picture, that's why I said, wait a minute, I remember her, but she was from the movie with the blonde chickie, and Ricardo Montalban was the best thing in the movie. I didn't realize that was supposed to be Nubia.
That's Nubia because
she's never been the bad guy.
She's never been the bad guy. They have her in a pseudo outfit of her armor from where she was introduced. But now she's also, I forgave the if I could say the rogue stripe silverness that's in her hair, but that is the actual pseudo outfit that she wore in her first appearance.
But the chickie in the movie has an outfit kind of, she's got that type of body conscious fit outfit. She doesn't have the She doesn't have any armor on it, but she is wearing, because there's the scene where Girlie's on the mule and she's standing with this guy and he's like, I bet you can't knock her off that mule. And she's throwing, don't ask me why I remember this old. She's throwing spears at her and she's catching them, you know. So, but I think she was in something similar to that outfit, kind of silver, but instead of a skirt, it was like a unitard type thing that she was wearing.
And this, and to be quite honest, that's not the only time that this had happened commercial wise. There was another one. There's another one that actually
Don't get a strike. Don't get a struck.
That actually introduced Thermoscara, which is weird within itself too. So it this type of stuff is like, when I go back and look at history, it's like how did this translate to a doll that doesn't really meet up to what was done in the comic books here?
This is when the marketing team gets to have more of a say.
And notice that now by this time the TV series came out.
Yeah, so they got her in the glasses and they're doing the spin.
Right.
And they're using the song?
Yes.
Hippolyte?
Yeah, it's supposed to be Hippolyta, but they call it Hippolyte. And you see that Nubia now is more in the actual armor. Let me go back and show it to you here.
Yeah, I see that. She's
more in the actual armor, and the stripe is no longer there. So that's why I'm up here. It's like, when I saw the original for 1977, it's like, she's not a villain. That's her twin. Why are they constantly trying to make her a villain? And it just, as much as I want the Mego toy, I want it to kind of be like defiant, because I was like, I know who the character is. I have read those books so many times over that it's like, this doesn't make any sense here.
I think I was disappointed in the TV movie, because I had read that and seen the Wonder Woman without her, because that's supposed to be Wonder Woman when she had lost her costume and stuff. And really,
I don't understand how is this appealing as a playset for Thermoscara.
I don't even think this is meant to appeal to girls.
No, not again. It's like, I don't see this appealing to girls either, because they. The reason I don't see. The reason why I say it, I don't see it appealing to girls either, because it's not the stereotypical doll anymore. They're moving into the action figure type aspect of it.
Well, that doesn't bother me. But as a child, having read Wonder Woman, and by this time, like you said, they were basing their advertising on the Linda Carter show, which I loved. You know, I love that show, especially the original World War II, because they had also done a re-release of some of the World War II comics. So so you knew about Etta Candy and all of that. So I had really loved that show. But it's such a bastardization of this character and this Queen Hippolyte. I'm sorry. I'm glad I didn't see this as a kid, because I would have been like, and I wouldn't have known who to write. But if I had known who to write, they would have had to call my mother, and she would have strangled me, because what I would have had to say would have not been nice.
But again, with all of that being said, it's like, you have the source material. And even if you were going on the television series, why wasn't there a Drusilla doll? Why I could go ahead and name other characters. There was an Etta Candy by that time. There was Drusilla, which was Deborah Winger.
Before Deborah Winger was Drusilla was the character with the streak in that 70s movie. So that was Drusilla.
Mhm.
You know, because and the woman who got hired for that, it was like, I promise you, Diana, next time we meet, I will take your life. It's like, and I just delivered that line better than she did. It was
No, put it this way. I remember the stupid rainbow waterfall death trap that they had in that movie. That I just like, after that, I just shook my head, and watching Ricardo Montalban get away on the speedboat. I block out the made for TV Wonder Woman movie like that.
it was one of those things. It was Wednesday night and there was nothing else on, and I watched it, and it was like it was Ricardo Montalban, which my grandmother
It was
loved, and
Ricardo Montalban with all of these so-called wannabe SS soldiers coming on to
and
Themyscira out of nowhere.
and they had hired, and Chicky got the job because she had been a gymnast, and so she could do some of the flips and jumps that they wanted her to do. Um, but it was just I was sitting there going, but she's not blonde. Okay, this is supposed to be around the time that she's in civilian clothes and all that, and they don't show. There's a part where she gets someplace really fast, and it's like, well, how did you get this here? And she's like, I've got a plane, it's invisible, it flies. And I'm like, okay,
We
fine.
don't get the iconic outfit. We get the jumpsuit.
And that's what and I'm just sitting there like, okay, this is really disappointing, you know. And so if it was coming on and I wanted some, and my sister couldn't find something she wanted, that was my, okay, I'm going to sit here and I have an excuse to be angry. That was my excuse to be angry, Phil.
Well, like I said, I could tolerate the movie more so than the pilot back in the 1960s.
I don't remember seeing the pilot in the 60s.
I'm just so glad that the majority of this period of Wonder Woman is blocked out of my memory, and I don't even pretend to understand.
Yeah, but there's a reason why I bring it up, because we're going to be talking about the following book today here. Let me go ahead and put myself on the big screen here.
Ta-da!
We're going to be talking about this book right here, which is Nubia 2 Real. Now, for those who are fans of either Comic Book Spectrum or my show from the Desolate Small Press Publisher, you guys know what I thought about this book, which is the first book in the series, which is Nubia Real 1.
Okay.
I threw this book.
Ooh.
And I threw this book for a reason. The writers of this book made this piece about really more about what they wanted to date, to timestamp this story, as opposed to telling a Nubia story, because they really didn't cover too much about why she's there in this town, and the parents that was raising her and all this other stuff. It's like we get through almost 3/4 of the book, and that's when we find out that Nubia and Diana is twins, but Diana is like 20 something years old and she's 16, because of the simple fact that when she got stolen away as a baby, they de-aged her, or made her age a little bit slower. So there's like a spell that made her age slower, but her and Diana are technically still twins and everything to that magnitude.
Okay. Hold on. I've got to ask.
Mhm.
This Nubia we're talking about,
Mm-hmm.
this is the same one who in the current continuity is the queen of the Amazons,
Mm-hmm.
and was Hippolyta's wife.
Hippolyta's wife?
No, not Hippolyta's
No.
wife.
Hippolyta's
Okay.
daughter.
Hippolyta's daughter.
No, then who was Hippolyta married to in the recent comics? Because she was
She
married
got
to
married?
She was married to an African American female Amazon.
Right. Yeah, I forgot the name of her name. I forgot
It
her name.
wasn't Nubia.
Is
It
that the
wasn't
one
Nubia.
they
It wasn't
call?
Nubia.
Is that
Okay.
the one they call Ma?
I don't remember her name.
Philippus
I
or
know
something?
I know who Cliff is talking about.
Is it Philippus or something like that? Because I think she's in the Diana and Nubia book.
I believe so.
Then it's Philippus. Yeah, because they call her Ma in that book. They both call her
Philippus
Ma.
was the short-haired, lighter-skinned Amazon who made the Purple Ray in the new continuity.
Oh, okay, and this book, Philippus is
Am I
a
wrong about that?
dark-skinned black woman.
I'll be honest. A lot of Wonder Woman's most recent stuff is
Hold on. I have again. You're talking about somebody that gets all of the books and everything. And I have read this, and I forgot what they named her. And then I still have to get used to the fact that Hippolyta is blonde again in this book.
While you're looking that up, this is just a total anecdote thing. I have my sister was married to a Greek man, and he was explaining to me one day that the way that we all know to say Hippolyta is not how you say it in Greek. It's Hippolyta.
Yes.
Is the actual Greek pronunciation, and I was just like,
it's Hippolyta.
I'm never gonna remember that.
Just like a euro is not pronounced euro in Greek.
It's gyro.
Yes.
And it used to be, if you went to Greek time to get one of those, they would, if you were black, they wouldn't sell it to you if you couldn't pronounce it correctly.
I'd be doomed.
Now I learned it real fast.
Now I will openly also admit, outside of anything involving Donna Troy and Diana, don't pay a lot of attention to Wonder Woman mythology because it gets so damn convoluted. I quit paying attention. So I may be completely wrong on all of this.
No, you're partially right, but I just don't think I don't keep very good track of names.
Okay. Well,
I can't find it here, but yes, that Elaine is right as far as who she was married to in that book, but I just can't remember the names and everything.
It's Philippus or Philippus.
But getting back to this here, so they de-aged her. She's still a twin. She had no idea of Themyscira or anything to that magnitude. And Diana, by the time that this comes gets to the end of it, Diana eventually gave her first set of bracers, which would help her because, again, without the bracers, this person is unbridled power. And I made a big stink about it. It's like, wait, you're starting this whole thing pretty much with her almost killing somebody in the very beginning, trying to stop a robbery. And she literally tosses an ATM machine at a person and hits them dead on into a wall.
Dang.
That's a collapsed lung and all this other stuff. And oh no, she gets to walk scot-free and everything, even though when she got picked up by the police and everything, she thought that she was getting picked up because dude died and stuff to that magnitude. So this book, a lot of this stuff is like, it goes to show that the writers and whoever approved this book is not used to comic book writing. I threw it for a reason.
Okay,
then we get to
real quick.
Yeah,
I looked it up in the series Wonder Woman Earth 1 that I think Grant Morrison wrote. Nubia was married to Hippolyta, but
that's Grant Morrison. Nobody can write anything that's continuity after Grant Morrison. So
throw
it away. Throw that knowledge away.
In continuity after Trial of the Amazons, Hippolyta was married to Philippus.
It's not good.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Anything that Grant Morrison write, nobody going to be able to write after him. So just throw that continuity out the door.
Well, after let me see, in the mainline continuity after Trial of the Amazons, Hippolyta was married to Philippus.
Right.
So
yeah. Okay.
Okay. So it was Philippus.
Get that right. It's Philippus.
Yeah.
Because they call her Ma.
Apparently, I read at some point, and I don't even remember it. I read Wonder Woman Earth 1 to know that Nubia and Hippolyta were married.
Well, that's because it's Grant Morrison. Grant Morrison is going to do what Grant Morrison does,
right?
And considering the fact, and what makes sense about what he did is that you have to understand that he probably wrote that up on the understanding that Diana and Nubia were still golems, technically golems.
Right.
And that's the origin I always stick with, because that has been the most continuous type thing
the
that
fact that they
happened.
were golems.
Yeah, that I don't like the whole Diana was a daughter of Zeus type storyline as a whole here.
Well,
because it doesn't work.
Getting away from that.
At one point, it was suggested that she was the daughter of Ares. That because at one point it was Hercules, because in the mythology, Hercules does seduce her because he's got the Amazons have something that he wants to get from them, and in order to get it, he seduces her. And
it goes deeper than that.
And then he gets what he's going for. It's the 7 great thingies of him.
It's deeper than that.
And I haven't read it. It's been about 30 years since I sat down and read that.
It actually goes to Hippolyta. Hercules betrayed Hippolyta. Hercules and Hippolyta used to be like that, used to be a couple, until he betrayed her. Mm-hmm. That was the only reason why Hera did what she did and set the Amazons free from men, and Themyscira came about because of the simple fact that Hercules did what he did to betray. He
broke her heart.
Yeah. Again, in breaking her heart, it also set him back as far as what his goals were to get whatever he needed. So it was kind of like one of those things where it's like you have to go back to Hippolyta to understand why he kept seducing Diana, because to get back into the good graces of the Amazons, he had to go through Diana, because if he tried to go back to Hippolyta is going to kill him.
That's right. She would
kill him. She would slaughter him on sight. She would give that order on sight, kill him. Kill him. That's it. Yeah. That's how bad that's how bad of betrayal it was, because they were on equal terms, and then he betrayed them, and then all of a sudden all the Amazons got into bondage. They were taken as slaves.
Yeah.
She could never forgive that. She could never forgive him for that.
Well, because they had lived free up until they were their own people. They had the gods had said, these women are set apart. You're not supposed to mess with them. And they were top-notch warriors. And that was just horrible. Anyway, before I forget, Clip Studio Paint just updated. Version 5.0 is out.
Okay, I might have to take a look at that a little bit later here.
But yeah, Joe. I was going to say, even DC has started to do away with the whole daughter of Zeus thing, because they're all going back to she was created from clay. But I think they were just doing that where they could make Trinity and make it all make sense.
It's not even that. I think
Trinity
is going to go. I think Trinity is going to go away once Tom King goes away from Wonder Woman.
God, I hope so.
And the only reason why that will happen is because they haven't done much with her. They never really established Elizabeth as a character on her own.
Well,
it was just more along the lines of like, we're going to force a brand new Trinity, because we got Damien, we got Jonathan. We need somebody for Diana. We're just going to create Elizabeth. It's like, no, you already got the person for Diana, and that person's name was Yara Fleur. But no, you put her back on the shelf because it wasn't blood relation.
What about Wonder Girl?
Now, see,
Donna Troy is not of the same bloodline as Diana. She's a completely different entity, and that's what I'm saying. It's like Golem Diana is pretty much unique, just like Donna Troy is unique. She was born of magic or something like that. I forgot. Yeah. The weirdness about
Donna. Her origin was kind of wonky.
This is where
it depends on the writer. It depends on the writer which one her origins is true. That's their whole joke about who's Donna Troy.
This is where my old conservatism steps in.
Uh-oh.
The new Trinity.
Rant.
The new Trinity after Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman is not Damian, Jonathan, and Trinity. It's Dick Grayson, Wally West, and Donna Troy. Because if you read the books, the next generation looks to one of those three. Just like the previous generation looked to Batman, Superman, or Wonder Woman.
Oh, okay.
So Dick Grayson, Wally West, and Donna Troy are the new Trinity, and these new little kids running around are hopefully going to get swept under the rug eventually, and I don't have to read about them anymore. Except maybe Jonathan, because he's kind of grown on me.
In a weird way, I hope that you're right, but I don't see it, because based upon those three, only one became actually following the steps of their predecessor, and that was Wally.
Mm-hmm.
You know, okay. Dick did not become Batman, and Donna did not become Wonder Woman. And that's the thing. It's like Donna never had the title of Wonder Woman. Period. She was never deemed worthy by the tribes of the Amazon to hold the title.
She was Wonder Woman for a little while in a couple.
Not by title contest. No, she has not won a contest.
Post Infinite Crisis, when Diana left to go find herself, Donna was Wonder Woman for like a year or two.
She, by Thermoscarian right, she was never a Wonder Woman.
Especially it's battle. Don't they have to battle for that?
Well,
again, that's the whole purpose of the contest. And you have to understand the contest on Thermoscara. That's the only way you could become truly Wonder Woman.
A Wonder Woman. Yeah.
Well, Gail Simone didn't get the memo because Donna was Wonder Woman for like 2 years. So.
Again, that's writer freedom. That's just like the whole thing about what I said about Nubia marrying Hippolyta, because that was Grant Morrison. You could throw that out the door because nobody's going to pick up from where he left off to write something like that. Just like with Gail Simone. Gail Simone is like, that's going to be a factoid that Gail Simone did, but you could throw that out the door because it's not continuity. And even with this last trial of the Amazons here, if she wanted to be Wonder Woman, she could have been chosen as a champion to fight as Wonder Woman. There's only a handful of people that have actually won that title. Hippolyta, because people keep forgetting, Hippolyta was the true, according to current continuity, she was the first Wonder Woman during World War II.
Because the original Wonder Woman during World War II was Diana.
And according Diana, to back then, but
and that origin was that she was the daughter, if I remember correctly, she was supposed to be the daughter of Ares and Hippolyta for the original World War II version of that. And
did they ever explain in the JSA series where they made that official that Hippolyta was Wonder Woman, why the hell they called her Polly?
I don't know, but I have to go back to Justice Society where they truly established that Hippolyta was the Wonder Woman.
Right. The James Robinson, Jeff Johns JSA. They called her Polly like all the time.
Right, was short for they didn't like Hippolyta.
And calling her a nickname diminishes her.
I was like, why are they calling her Polly?
Calling her Polly is a way of diminishing her.
Yeah.
But that didn't take all of the original Wonder Woman as she was first put out there. That just takes everything that I grew up with and said, oh, Elaine, that's a lie.
It's their way of trying to give it to you with keeping what they want. Because you got to remember, Wonder Woman's the only one of the original three they did that with. We still don't have a Golden Age Superman in current continuity anymore. We don't have a Golden Age Batman who was afraid of the dark and became Starman for a week.
Understand.
There's never been any of that. We still have some version of that Wonder Woman. But so even though it's slightly different, you still have her to go back to and look at.
But the problem is that Wonder Woman was created because she was created as an icon for women who were not only entering factory jobs and stuff where they hadn't before, because as the men went off to serve, women then took a lot of those jobs and were working in munition factories and whatnot. But also, this was at a time where they were also bringing women into the armed forces. So it wasn't just women working, because we have Rosie the Riveter for that.
Right.
But Wonder Woman was also supposed to represent all these women who were suddenly entering the Navy, the Army, the Marines. You know, the Air Force hadn't been solidly built at that time. You had all these women, and it was supposed to be this sort of rah-rah us. And to switch it, because the whole Wonder Woman inspired that generation of women to get up and serve.
Well,
And
see, there's still a little bit of her left, is what I'm saying, though, with Hippolyta being that. There's no link anymore to the social justice warrior Superman who was standing up for workers' rights and who was pushing police cars out of the way for picketers. There's no direct link to the Bruce Wayne who had purple gloves and didn't mind shooting people because he was killing vampires and stuff. There is still some form of link to that Wonder Woman. We've lost those links to the other ones, though.
You want to know why? One
John
creator.
Byrne.
No, one. We're going back to the Golden Age. One creator, 3 different writers. This is the reason.
And every time a new writer comes in, they've got to reestablish it to get up and waggle their little, thingies and go, I'm running this show now. It's like,
it's messed up because Marston Moulton created Wonder Woman. When he did a issue of All-Star Comics up under his writing dealing with Wonder Woman, people hated it, or at least those at DC hated it. After he did that, he was no longer given the reins of what the character does in All-Star Comics. Same thing with Sensation Comics. Sensation Comics predates Wonder Woman 1. Sensation Comics covered more of World War II than Wonder Woman, the actual comic book series. Yes. You had a different writer. Well, I take that back. Moulton wrote the majority of Sensation Comics until Wonder Woman 1. And then he wrote a lot more of Wonder Woman, the series here. There was a lot of Sensation Comics and stuff like that where he got credited the title, but somebody else was writing in Sensation. Because Sensation went from her being up on gangsters, World War II type stuff, to romance towards the end of it, where her and Steve Trevor being in romance and romance comics.
And originally it dealt with a lot of espionage.
Mm-hmm.
She wasn't just a superhero, she was also a secret agent, which is why
going for country to country to country.
Why she was both Diana Prince and Wonder Woman, because they would send her off to go and find, there were all these mysteries and stuff that she had to go investigate. And she didn't become Wonder Woman until things got hairy. But before that, she spent half her time in a specific story arc working just as an investigator, trying to find out what was actually going on, who was running this, who was running that, and then going in to shut it down. It wasn't like she didn't just show up and beat everybody up and go, no, it's like, no, we need to find out the scope of what the operation is and the scope of it, so that when she would go down and shut it off, she made sure that she shut it off. It's like I said, it just, I'm not happy.
But it's still,
but that's sensation. Then we get to Wonder Woman, the title. That's when we get introduced to the Holiday Girls, the college students at Holiday College. And that's where we get the more inspiring Wonder Woman that we see today, the more social appropriate. That Wonder Woman rarely have been truly touched, unlike All-Star Comics and Sensation Comics. That's what they always go back to, as far as when they want to reboot her and get her back to the way that she was, they always go back to Wonder Woman 1. They don't go back to Sensation, and they don't go back to All-Star Comics.
But see,
That's the reason why they got away with Hippolyta being in World War II, because they put her in the JSA era, which would have been All-Star Comics. Why? Because people just didn't like what Molson did in All-Star Comics. So it fits. We're going to rewrite the timeline, put her there. Nobody's going to be overly upset because that version of her in All-Star Comics is just not, Diana in that version doesn't exist. Again, they made her go and make people sandwiches in that version of All-Star Comics.
Well, it's funny to me because look, there is still a direct connection to Wonder Woman in World War II. There is still direct connection.
A Wonder Woman, not Diana.
Not Diana.
There still is, though. There's still a direct connection to Green Arrow in World War II. Because still to this day, he was a member of the Seven Soldiers of Victory. Him and Speedy just got lost in time for like 10 minutes. Okay. There is no direct connection to Aquaman in World War II. There is no direct connection.
Aquaman would have been in that Golden Age era.
Yeah. Aquaman was a Golden Age character. Aquaman was a Golden Age character.
Okay. My memory of Aquaman is the 60s version from the comics.
Yes, that's after they reintroduced him. Aquaman was a Golden Age character. He came out a year after Namor because he was a copy of the Submariner.
Yeah.
There is no direct connection to Batman in World War II. There is no direct connection to Superman in World War II. There's still a connection to Hawkman, but they say that was a different guy, just like the Flash was a different guy. Green Arrow and Wonder Woman are the only ones of the big heroes that have direct connections left to World War II. So they're doing better than the other ones because there's a lot of aspects of that Superman and Batman that they should bring forward, but they ignore all of them because Superman can't be that old.
Well, Batman it's not even that. Justice League never happened. Justice League never happened in certain aspects of DC continuity. Because the Superman that would have been World War II would have been the later incarnation of what was brought into All-Star Comics, or the later incarnation of JSA, who came way after. Wonder Woman was almost technically one of the founding members because she came in issue number 8. She was not an original member, but she came way before Superman did to JSA. So we have to look at the timeline of JSA at this point here. Justice League has not even been formed. That's a completely different universe and all that.
That was decades later. But just the 1940s era, the golden age era of comics. There is no longer any connection whatsoever with Superman, Batman, and everyone else. There's only Green Arrow and Wonder Woman who get to keep their connection to that era. And I still don't understand.
I still don't understand why Green Arrow has a direct connection, because was one of those throwaway stories that they should have just got rid of because it was time
they still say that Green Arrow was a member of the Seven Soldiers of Victory during the Golden Age. He was the Seven Soldiers was a contemporary of the JSA. They still say Oliver Queen was a member of the Seven Soldiers of Victory. So all those stories, all that stuff that happened in the Golden Age with Green Arrow comics and Seven Soldiers comics, all of that is still connected to Oliver Queen because he went back in time. They have never not said that. So Green Arrow is still connected to the World War II, just like Wonder Woman is connected to World War II. Barry Allen's not connected to World War II.
Now you're going to make me go back and read Burn Wonder Woman, because Burn Wonder Woman said that the timeline got altered because of the simple fact that during the time of JSA, to establish the aspect of the world of having a Wonder Woman, that she literally took up the mantle herself before she sent her daughter. Okay. And she did that for several years before Diana came over from Themyscira.
Well, but there was still a Wonder Woman in World War II is what I'm saying. Well, there's still a Black Canary in World War II, but they changed it to where she's not Diana Laurel Land. That was her
Right.
mom.
There was other black
There were
canaries
other black
before
canaries.
Dinah.
So there's no longer a connection between Dinah and World War II. They severed it. It's her mom. There is still a Wonder Woman
But
in
it's
World
not.
War II.
Like I said, I grew up reading Diana Prince Wonder Woman in World War II. And I loved that because it wasn't just beating up on the bad guys. She wasn't just brawn, she was also brain. What is going on here? What is, who is at the bottom of this, and how far reaching is this situation?
Mhm.
It wasn't just go in, rip off a door, beat everybody's butt. It was,
It was not go in and beat up Hitler. It was more diabolical. She had to deal with a lot more diabolical stuff than that. It wasn't Captain America. Put it that way.
Yeah, it was work. She was as much a detective as she was this physical hero. She had to work it out. It wasn't like Superman where she had Lois and Jimmy finding the information, giving it to her and come and save them. It was like, no, she was being sent in. She was the one who had to find this out firsthand, figure it out, find out, what it is, how it's managed, how deep does this go, and then get down to the action. I miss that.
During the Byrne era, did they know that Hippolyta was Wonder Woman, or did she pretend to be Diana for a little while?
They knew it was Hippolyta.
Okay, because I didn't think
because of Jay Garrick. Jay Garrick admitted that it was Hippolyta.
Well, see, I thought that stuff with Jay didn't come along until the JSA era with Robinson and Jeff Johns.
No, it went back. Okay. It pointed back to a couple of issues of Wonder Woman. I want to say in the 120s, 130s of the second volume.
Also, Hippolyta is supposed to be. I think one of them is supposed to be much taller than. I think Hippolyta is supposed to be a little taller than Diana. If either that or Diana is a little taller than Hippolyta, so it's really confusing how she could pretend to be Diana.
Well, it's the reason why they get away with it is because the older version of the JSA, Diana used to wear heeled boots.
She wore the heeled boots. But the thing is, she was supposed to be, if I remember my early Wonder Woman, she was supposed to be about 6 feet tall because she, and bare feet, she was, Steve Trevor was 6 feet, and bare feet, she and Steve were the same height.
Diana was 5'11" during that time.
Are you certain? Because I thought she was 6. Okay,
no,
maybe it was,
5'11". She's
you know
5'11".
what? And it was because Linda Carter
was
6 feet. And I love that because she's the tallest woman to play Wonder Woman.
They also didn't pay a lot of attention to heights a lot back then because there's some Golden Age stories where Robin is like waist high to Batman, and then there's some where he's shoulder height.
Yeah.
So they didn't pay a lot of attention to height back then.
It was just who was doing what that day and
who was doing the artists and everything, but I could have sworn that they still build Diana as 5'11".
And another one, Captain Marvel still has his connection to World War II because that story about them being stuck in suspendium for 50 years is still a part of his history. But he doesn't. But he was, he was Fawcett, so he wasn't a DC original.
And one thing that I hate is that they changed the fact that Barda is no longer the tallest woman hero in DC Comics.
Who is then?
Charles is making gyoza.
If they still saying that Barda went from her original height to 6'4", it would be Grace Choi.
And Grace Choi again is
Batman and Outsiders Volume 3.
She's one of Black Lightning's kids' girlfriends.
Right? Okay.
Yeah. I always, and this is another tangent. That's what I always liked about certain artists. They made it a point to make everyone's height distinct.
Right, because Barda is supposed to have been 7 foot. She was the tallest female in the DC universe.
Huge.
In New Teen Titans, Perez would always draw them almost in height order where you could tell who was taller than who. Or he would
They
draw
used to
them
do
in like
that with,
alphabetical
like,
order. But
they
or
used
you
to do
could
that
see
with the
their height.
X-Men. With the X-Men, they were they were never the same height. It was always,
They made certain
Yeah,
that
that's-
Colossus was taller than Cyclops. Cyclops was taller than Beast. Beast would have been like average height, and Wolverine would always be the shortest.
yeah,
So they
because
made,
that
they
was
made, they made
until the
certain that
90s.
Wolverine was always shorter than the women.
yeah, because
That
you
was
would
until
have
the 90s came along and
Storm
they
was
didn't care
taller
no
than
more.
Jean, and Jean was taller than Wolverine.
Because in the X-Men comic books, sometimes Wolverine was eye to eye with Cyclops, and then you go and look at Wolverine's comics, and they drew him like a dwarf.
Mhm.
Well,
He
because
literally had to stand on bar stools to look in some people's eyes.
yeah,
And
because
by the
the only
90s, they didn't care no more.
the joke was the only person shorter than Wolverine
Was
Puck.
Puck. Mhm.
Mhm.
That was part of the joke. Puck was
Yeah.
the only person when Puck and the that Canadian crew came out. Wolverine was like ecstatic because it's like somebody for me to look down on who isn't a
But
power factor.
it was so funny because again, before Puck got his powers, Puck was 6'4".
Mhm.
He was Arabian. He was stood 6'4". He was a man among men, and then he got his powers, and it's like he became very, very stocky, but he shrunk.
Mhm.
So I guess I'm going to save this book for later because we're beyond the 2 hour
Yeah,
limit here. Because
Yeah.
like I said, I knew I was going to rant. We ranted, but our rant takes too long before I could get to why I actually somewhat like this book. I kind of wish that this book was the first one in the series as opposed to this one.
Oh, okay. Well,
But we'll
then
get to
I
that.
will
We'll
have
probably
to,
get to that to another day here.
I
Yeah,
will
'cause
have
I've
to
got-
get a copy of Too Real.
I got all the KO books on the back burner then too, so
Well, I'm gonna go have me some
they were
platinum.
bad. They were bad.
Is it worse than this?
I haven't read that. I don't know, but I will tell you this: y'all both need to read "The Kids Are All Fight"
No.
because I had to read this, and I had to read about Mr. Terrific's autistic son who was raised on Apocalypse by Granny Goodness.
What?
Yep.
Okay, I'm signing out. I'm done.
Oh, I'm going. Wait. I'm going flag on the play. Don't tell me that they're about to get ready to make this autistic kid almost like another Mr. Miracle.
No, not Mr. Miracle, Mr. Terrific. The Michael Holt.
No. Do you understand the origin of Mr. Miracle?
But no, he is an autistic Mr. Terrific. Instead of T spheres, he has T cubed. He has F cubes because he's fair play. And yeah, I'm like, wait, what?
I got a headache, and I'm the mother.
I thought the whole reason Michael
Holt
became Mr. Terrific was because his wife and child died, but now his kid was raised on Apocalypse, and
great.
I'm sorry, but this whole mess about all the JSA had sidekicks we all forgot about, like Jay Garrick had a daughter. I'm like, this makes everything that Mark Waid wrote pointless now.
Mm-hmm.
I'll get into that after I get a chance for y'all to read it.
Okay.
Goddamn.
It's like he wants me to be angry. That's what it is. Cliff wants me to be angry.
He wants to give you a reason to just rage.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Are we ready to clock out?
Yep, we're going to clock out here.
It's been another Thursday night. And thank you guys again for being here and putting up with the insanity. Hey, at least I found out you can get buttermints from Swiss Colony. Yeah. Anyway, I'm Elaine, linscaponline.com. Find me on my website. Find me on Facebook, Elaine Haygood. Find me here, Elaine Haygood, on YouTube. I have some videos that will be coming up after C2E2. And if you find me on Facebook during C2E2, I'll be posting people of the con, which are pictures of the people who come by our booth and pose for candy. Okay? Y'all take care. Behave yourselves. I'm not going to say don't do nothing I would do because, y'all don't even want to know.
That's because you do too much stuff.
Oh, shush. Like I said, I know where you live, okay? Night.
Howdy. Thank you for sitting through all this with us. I'm still waiting on my get old gift basket with my membership and my candy in it. But until then, if you guys want to drop me a line in Olive Branch and explain to me why Darkseid can be both a floating head and a kaiju, I would appreciate it. If not, we'll talk about it next time I'm on, because if I went through this, you have to go through this. Thank you. Come again.
Well, I could explain that to you, but that's going to take another hour because you have to understand what Darkseid really is. But that's a whole nother story here. But tonight's episode is brought to you by Plasma Fire Graphics. If you need a brand new cover for your novel, graphic novel, comic book, hit up Jeffrey Hayes. You won't be disappointed here. Why? Because you want an award-winning artist who have won several Pope Factory Awards to do your cover. Why? Because it brings people to your table and it gets people started to talking about your story here. If you don't believe me, take a gander at this video.
You've worked hard and written a great book. Now it's time to give it a great cover. If you're an indie author or small press publisher, Plasma Fire Graphics is your source for affordable cover illustration and graphic design. Plasma Fire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you.
Seeing those covers, that could be yours. Only thing you have to do is give Jeffrey Hayes a good little message over there at plasmafiregraphics.com or hit him up on Facebook. Either or. Make certain that you tell him that Comic Book Spectrum sent you his way. As far as I'm concerned, I'll be back here Saturday. What we're going to talk about, I really don't know off the top of my head, but I'm trying not to rant anymore. I'm trying to give up the whole ranting thing, but there's been so much stuff that's been going out on the interwebs dealing with comic books and comic book collecting that it's almost getting unavoidable to talk about certain topics here, especially when it comes to things such as like AI, collecting habits, and all this other stuff. It's just so much stuff here, but I try to deal with the positive or try to make things, if I could say, a learning lesson. But nevertheless, you never know here. We will have brand new comics to talk about. We'll have, an update on a lot of the production and everything, and a C2E2 update status here as far as where everything lies at going into our booth at 829 we're coming up here on the 27th through the 29th. Yeah, that's right. 27th through the 29th. That was that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So it's a lot to talk about, a lot to get through here. So until next week, for those who watch only Comic Book Spectrum, live life, grow, and be well. If for those who want to be here on Saturday, I see you then. But in the immortal words of our founder, I don't care if you wash your hands, just never, and I do mean never, apologize for being awesome. We'll catch you here next week, right here on Comic Book Spectrum, and we're out. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to like and comment, especially if you have a horse in the matter as far as what was going on, what we were talking about with Wonder Woman. I would like to hear what you have to say here. Thanks, and have a good night.